Valorant are about to release the new Rogue Vandal. It's pretty similar thematically to Phaseguard, so let's compare these two skins. Immediately from a price perspective, the Rogue Vandal is one tier below the Phaseguard Vandal. It comes in at 2,175 Valorant points rather than 2,475 Valorant points. Even though the price difference is only like $3, the difference in features is actually pretty apparent. So with that in mind, let's take a look at some of the specific categories like the animations, sounds, finishes, and more. I even want to briefly talk about the theme for a second, because realistically, these two Vandals are pretty close to each other in that case. Lots of people look at this new skin and say, hey, isn't that just Phaseguard but missing X or adding Y? Hence why I wanted to make this video. While they're clearly both military inspired, Phaseguard is a lot more in the realm of making you feel like a weapons expert, while also literally being built within the world of Valorant by Chamber. Between the Inspect and Finisher, you get this advanced technology acting as a rift between worlds. On the other hand, Rogue is a lot more grounded in comparison. This gun manages to feel even more precise, tactical, and sharp. That same kind of performance-first design is actually what makes today's sponsor fit this video pretty well. I've been testing the Red Magic 11S Pro, and this is not just a normal phone that happens to run games. Between the transparent back, RGB lighting, a built-in fan, and even shoulder triggers, the whole design feels built around mobile gaming first. The biggest thing I wanted to test was how it handled longer gaming sessions. You see, with my normal phone, for example, if I play multiple games of even, say, TFT, it will start to heat up a lot to the point where it's slowing down and lagging. While doing that, it also chews through my battery life. In this case with Red Magic's phone, however, TFT was a breeze. Even with a more graphically demanding game like Fortnite, I definitely noticed the phone getting warmer, but I didn't feel the game slowing down. It still ran smoothly, and that's because of the built-in cooling. Red Magic designed this phone around this liquid cooling system, which is something you rarely see in phones. It additionally comes with the world's fastest mobile system on a chip, the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 leading version. It delivers 19% CPU and 24% GPU performance improvements compared to their previous model, and it also further helps the phone stay cool during intense gaming sessions. The other feature I ended up using a lot was Red Magic Moments, which is basically a built-in clipping software. Since I was recording gameplay for this ad, being able to quickly save the moments I wanted straight from the phone was genuinely really useful. On top of all that, the screen feels really nice. While this phone itself is a similar size to the one I already have, with the Red Magic 11S Pro, it feels like more of the device is actually screen. This makes games feel more immersive, without the phone feeling too big or awkward. So if you're into mobile gaming, I'll leave a link to the Red Magic 11S Pro in the description and pinned comment below. Big thanks again to Red Magic for sending this out. Back to the Vandal skins now. Next, let's listen to the shooting sounds. To me, Rogue is pretty clearly better here. They are sort of similar, but on Phaseguard it's almost like your shots are plasticky and hollow in comparison, and then with Rogue there are still those clicky metal sounds, but that's just more your gun moving around and recoiling, while the actual shots themselves are really impactful and deep. I doubt I'm doing a perfect job of articulating that one, but basically I just really like how Rogue sounds to shoot with, whereas Phaseguard is just decent. Then from a kill sound perspective, take a listen to both and let me know which you prefer. In a vacuum, I like how the Rogue kill banner sounds. Having said that, I don't think it perfectly suits this specific skin line. A lot of other people picked up on this too, and it sounds really similar to Overdrive, which is this flashy motorbike themed bundle. I would have assumed something like Rogue would sound a lot more discreet and precise. I spoke about that a little more in my overall bundle review, which I posted earlier today, but nonetheless, on the other hand, Phaseguard is a bit more impactful and I can really feel the recon influence here. Even though I don't hate how the Rogue kill banner sounds, I think Phaseguard is better and just fits the skin more overall. Now also seems like a relevant time to mention the neat little feature that Phaseguard has on the kill banner, where the icon will change to match whichever agent you actually kill. Next up, from a design perspective, at least initially, I find it pretty hard to separate these two. Again, like I keep saying, the themes are similar here. Maybe I prefer the laser sight on Rogue, and maybe Phaseguard feels a little bit slimmer in comparison, but that's about it. However, Phaseguard gives you a lot more to work with. Not only are there 3 randomized grips that you can cycle between throughout your game, but it even has the canted ADS. Maybe this isn't for you, but you can't ignore that it's different and unique. To be fair, Rogue does also have a unique grip style, which is different to the standard Vandal. This look of having the extra handle at the front of the gun is super popular on both Recon and Phaseguard, but compared to the randomized options in those cases, Rogue falls a little bit short. That brings us to the equip, inspect, and reload, which funnily enough, these skins would essentially complete each other if you just combined their animations. What I mean by that is, well, first let's look at the equip animation. Phaseguard is completely default, and then Rogue isn't doing anything crazy, but to be honest, I do like it. It feels a little bit faster than your standard equip because you literally go through that default motion faster, but then you quickly switch on the laser sight for that tactical feel. When we move on to the next 2 animations though, unfortunately, Rogue is default for both. The Phaseguard reload isn't even anything that crazy, but it suits the skin. It makes you feel like you really know what you're doing handling this weapon as you take one magazine out while already holding the new one in your hands. I don't think they necessarily should have just stolen this one and put it onto Rogue, but honestly they could have, or at the very least added some small element to make it feel more unique and give it some character. Phaseguard's inspect is pretty solid too. You truly inspect and look at the weapon to make sure there's nothing wrong with it, and again there are those portal themes I mentioned earlier. Overall, Phaseguard clearly has better animations. That brings us to the variants, and in this case I honestly think both of these skins are pretty poor. This is probably a little bit of a personal preference thing too, because with these military type skins, they are typically going to lean into the more grounded and camo based colorways. To be honest though, with the Rogue Vandal, I can definitely see myself just sticking with the default and not even upgrading to any of the other variants. Maybe the blue one if I want something a little bit different. Then with the Phaseguard, I'm not particularly impressed with the options here either, but I do have to actually take a second and decide between the blue and the gold. Yeah, this one is a little bit much sometimes, but it's different and out there. So for this category, it's pretty close, and even more so than normal. This will literally just come down to what you think looks better, but I think Phaseguard has the superior variants. Last and maybe least, we have the finisher, which I think especially compared to their overall price tier, is actually a letdown for both skins. I'll start with Phaseguard first, which definitely has more to offer visually, but something to me just feels a little bit tacky about having everything around you just turn into one color. It does make sense in the context of this rift appearing from where you got the kill, and it matches the color of your gun, but it's not one of my favorites. Then Rogue manages to be pretty underwhelming for an exclusive tier finisher too. Like, sure, you can shoot the drones, that's great, but there are no environmental or lasting factors at all here. There are definitely worse finishes in the game, but again, for this price point, I would have liked to see a little bit more in both cases. I still think Phaseguard has the better finisher, but this is definitely a weak point for both skins, just like the variants. So overall, even though Phaseguard is 300 Valorant points more expensive, from a feature and value perspective, you are clearly getting more bang for your buck. Having said that, even though this video is about Rogue and Phaseguard, I do need to bring up Recon for a second. We can all agree that this is one of the most popular Phantom skins in the game. Whether you do or don't like it is irrelevant, it is popular with pros and ranked players alike. People love to use this skin. It only costs 1,775 Valorant points, so it's relatively cheap in comparison too. However, Recon has no finisher, no animations, and it even has the default shooting sound. This skin is entirely carried by an incredible kill sound and the shooting grip. That's literally it. So we can sit here and complain about Rogue having no animations, which is completely valid to be fair, and I also wish it had more animations, but if Recon can be one of the most popular skins in the game based entirely off the feel, you bet Rogue can be too. So with that out of the way and back to the topic at hand here, like I was saying from a value point of view, I do still think Phaseguard is the better weapon as it simply offers you more. But in terms of which skin feels better to use in game, I do think that is Rogue. While it's going to be a disappointing release, and I think objectively a lot of us think it falls short of being a skin worth 2,175 Valorant points, I genuinely believe that this is an incredible feeling skin, which has a chance to become one of the most popular Vandals in the game. We'll just have to see over time how much the community likes the shooting and kill sound, and again, don't forget about Recon.